Thank you for staying with us. Clarins South Africa has partnered with Newzroom Afrika and the Red Movement, an organisation that tries to create a lasting impact on socio-economic development by equipping young women with sanitary wear and relevant education about menstrual cycles. The Red Movement champions women and addresses their needs. For more on this, we're now joined by Lesego and Mpyana from the Red Movement. Very good afternoon to you, this power couple that we have in the studio. Appreciate your time. Lesego, I'm going to start off with you. Let's talk about the inspiration of the Red Movement and what it actually stands for.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having us. I think I'll start with where the Red Movement started. So a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to volunteer in a NGO that sends our graduates out into communities, and these young graduates actually get the opportunity to teach and improve the quality of education in South Africa. And so for 2 years, I got to be an English teacher, and it's during this time that I came across the reality of girls missing school because they couldn't afford pads and tampons. And so Joseph and I later started Newzroom Afrika, and while we were running our campaigns providing girls with menstrual cups, which are a sustainable way of managing periods, we came across a lot of women who wanted to be a part of the solution with us, and so the Red Movement was born.
So interesting, you came across a lot of women that want to be part of the movement.
Yes.
Your husband, Joseph, is also part of it.
Yeah.
Joseph, what inspired you to support Lesego and the movement, apart from you're going to do this?
Yeah, so the second part of our story is that I work in corporate social responsibility for a company that provided facility management in mines. And my job was basically to go across the different countries in Africa where we operated and find socio-economic challenges to solve. And period poverty was a prominent one that I sort of wanted to get behind. And because my company had done pad drives before, they didn't want to go down that route because it wasn't sustainable. It was too expensive to do. So I then came back home and I said, hey, babe, listen, this is what's happening. They're wanting to cut this program. Surely there are more sustainable products that we can find. And Lesego then went on, tried different sustainable products, and we stuck on the menstrual cup. We did it with my company first, and then Newzroom Afrika, our company, was born. So we went into approached different companies who were already doing work within the period poverty space, who we then had to sort of convince that this, the menstrual cup instead of pad drives, which are a good solution, but this becomes a more sustainable and more cost-friendly solution. So at that time, companies like Standard Bank came on board, Continental Tires came on board, and when we then got approached by people, different women who said, listen, I'm not a company, I'm not an organization, but I would like to take part in this. This is when we said, okay, listen, how do we create a platform that can actually invite the individual to come on board and actually make a contribution with just 100 rand that they have in their pockets. That's when we came up with Red Movement, and Clarins South Africa put up their hand and said, listen, this is incredible, we want to get behind it, we believe in your story. And that was basically how our involvement, or my involvement, and how the marriage sort of happened.
Cool. Well, Clarins as a brand is a phenomenal global brand, and their endorsement has got to be huge for you.
Yeah.
But let's paint a picture for us, if you will, of the challenge and certainly the numbers. I mean, let's talk about statistics of young girls in rural South Africa, in peri-urban South Africa, in South Africa as a whole. What do these numbers look like?
So 3 in 10 in South Africa, 3 in 10 girls miss up to a week of school every single month because of the issue of having sanitary wear, and that translates to 7 million South African girls that effectively are being directly impacted. This means that they miss out on school, they fall behind when compared to their male counterparts, and are restricted from operating in the economy on an equal basis.
Now, you've talked about distributing, I think, 14,500 cups in the last 2 years. What is the cost of a cup?
The cost of a cup is 100 rand, and how we've set up the Red Movement is that cost of 100 rand covers the girl being equipped with a menstrual cup, but us also coming alongside the corporates that support us to go into communities, into schools, women's shelters, to educate young girls about the cup itself, but also around periods as a whole. I mean, in many of our cultures, we're not brought up, having conversations like this, and so for us it was imperative to start teaching girls to have a positive outlook on periods, understanding it's a normal part of our lives, understanding our menstrual cycles, how that translates to ovulation, which is a topic that I'm particularly passionate about in covering our menstrual cycle workshop, teaching girls how to track their ovulation and the impact that would have on teenage pregnancies in our country. So I think just women and girls being equipped with this information is life-changing.
Joseph, you talked about sustainability. So how sustainable is this R100 cup, and what is the impact of this cup? Is it, do I give you R100 and that's provision for 3 months, for 2 months? What is that period versus normal pads, for instance?
Yeah. So the cup is really sustainable. So one of our cups can last a girl up to 10 years. So basically, R100 removes a girl from the shaming statistic of period poverty for a total of 10 years.
Now, as a man, you've obviously got buddies who have daughters or may not have buddies, may not have daughters. What is the reaction? I mean, when you have this conversation with men out there, what do they feel? What are their sentiments? Are they supportive? Is there a lot more advocacy that needs to be done in the space of men to catch on to this?
100%. I think that's a great point, because men need to start having this conversation. But more importantly, we need to start teaching younger boys, about this. Younger boys need to be educated about menstruation and how period poverty actually affects their counterparts, their female counterparts in the classroom. And then as they grow up, the conversation of menstruation becomes easier in the household. It becomes easier between men. So I would say that men still do need some time. Not some time, but we do need to start having more and more of these conversations. Yeah.
Lesego, a few months ago, I came across the term period poverty for the very first time, and I was listening to something on radio. I can't remember if it might have been you that was on that particular show. But what shocked me, and I think what's also important for our viewers to understand, is in the absence of a cup that you're providing, and in the absence of pads that some girls may afford, what are girls that aren't missing school but are trying to make a plan doing? What are those stopgap measures that they are actually using?
Yeah, so I mean, we've come across girls who've shared their real stories with us using things such as old clothing, socks, newspapers. There's actually a technique in rural areas where women will use a certain type of soil and stuff it in a material and use that as, just to close that gap. And so those methods become unhygienic and can actually lead to illnesses. But, I think women always are finding themselves in spaces where they have to make a plan. And so I think we step in order to provide an alternative that is sustainable but also prevents those things from happening.
Joseph, I'm going to challenge you to set a movement just for the men, for us to come in there and assist, because obviously because of the impact that it has. But let's talk about those that would like to reach out.
Sure.
How can they assist? What are the options? If I don't have R100, can I give you R50, for instance, or can I get support from those around me to help this project? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna sort of answer your question on 3 points, right? So from the first one, which has been mainly our target, has been from a corporate space. So within the corporate space, decision makers are mainly men, right? So having this conversation within the corporate space is quite tough to have it with men, to have them understand the urgency of us actually getting behind period poverty in the country, right? So I think for the first thing is for men to actually think about that, research the statistics from a corporate social responsibility point of view, actually look at what it will look like to actually take part or have their organizations take part in investing in eradicating this issue. So by doing that, where the platform that we have for them to do that is they can either email us on info@moveafricaco.com. That is one way. Either they can contact us on WhatsApp 076-3700-484, and then again on our website moveafricaco.com. And then the second part of that is something a drive that we have going right now, which is from a government point of view. The government is helping, is making an effort, but again, it is with pads, and I don't want to bash this because every little help does count, but it's not sustainable and it's too expensive. So we are trying to reach out to the different ministries, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, and saying, listen, let's get behind something that is more sustainable. And all it requires is education. Yes, the cup is something that is unknown to many people in our cultures, in our country, the people that need the cup the most. But what we're saying is we've created an environment, we've created a workshop where we can actually teach teach girls about this. And we've learned in the couple of years that we've been going that as long as you educate the girl, they do use the cup. So we're calling out to the government to get in touch with us on those same contact details so that we can look at solving this issue. And then going to the individual, the person, the guy, the lady who's saying, listen, I would like to get involved in this. So, social media is the best platform for that. So we've got our Instagram account, which is _red_movement_, and there is a pledge button on there that they can get involved and pledge. Otherwise, on our website, on moveafricaco.com, there is a pledge option there as well.
Lesego and Joseph, appreciate your time and wish you all the best with the Red Movement.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Lesego and Joseph Mpyana from the Red Movement.